Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am sharing my time with the member from Beaches, East York. Today I stand before you with a heavy heart for the people who call Ontario home. After hearing the presentation of the 2025-2026 budget, I had high hopes for a budget that would provide real hope for the families of Ontario. But instead, I am left feeling incredibly disappointed, but somehow not at all surprised by this failing government. Madam Speaker, I want to be very clear. Budgets can either uplift people or let them down. Regrettably, this budget lets Ontario down. Madam Speaker, this bill is entitled Plan to Protect Ontario Act, yet this budget fails to protect the very people it claims to serve, particularly when it comes to affordability, education and support for working families in Ontario. This budget, totaling $232 billion, is projected to have a $14.6 billion deficit. Let me share some statistics with you. This government has spent $2.2 billion on Thomas Spa, $1 billion on bringing booze to convenience stores a year earlier, and $1.4 billion to relocate the Ontario Science Centre that we know that did not have to be relocated. That is a total of $4.6 billion that could have gone to tax cuts and to put money back into the pockets of hard-working people in Ontario. Madam Speaker, I want to focus on the affordability crisis, what that means for the people of Scarborough-Guildwood and in Ontario. Ontario is in the midst of an affordability crisis. Since this government took office in 2018, the families who call Ontario their home has been seeing decrease in their quality of life year over year under this government. Madam Speaker, families across Scarborough are struggling to afford rising costs for rent, food, medication and childcare. And there is a lack of well-paying and stable jobs in Scarborough because we are not attracting new businesses to invest in Scarborough because of our transport connectivity crisis. Madam Speaker, the Daily Bread Food Bank reports in 2024 Toronto Food Bank served 3.49 million clients, which is a historic high with a 38% increase year over year. Hunger Report 2024 shows that nearly 40% of food banks are being forced to reduce the amount of food they can provide during a visit to meet rising demand. This is an alarming trend that speaks to the instability and weakness of this province. Madam Speaker, do you know what the average income in Scarborough is? The median annual income in Scarborough is $35,600, significantly lower than the Toronto median and far from what is required to afford rent in 2025. In many neighbourhoods, rent has skyrocketed by over 25% over the last 2 years, while vacancy rates remained critically low. Madam Speaker, there are 78,000 people in Scarborough who are renting, and over 33% of those people are paying over 30% of their income in rent. Madam Speaker, how are renters supposed to pay for their food, medication and childcare and still hope to have money saved for their children's education? There are over 50,000 young people between the ages of 24 and 35 who have left Ontario for better rent and better jobs. There is no future in Ontario for young people. I've got 3 kids myself, and I'm telling you right now, I'm also worried about their future living in Ontario if they decide to stay in Ontario. I heard from thousands of parents at the doors who had some concerns. Young people are living in their parents' basement and are worried that they will never find jobs or become financially independent living in Ontario. This is the same Ontario that is supposed to be the economic engine of Canada. Madam Speaker, instead of offering targeted relief for Ontarian families, this budget provides alcohol tax relief, the liquor tax cut taxes on microbrewery beer and spirits. For example, spirits taxes are halved from 61.5% to 30.75%. And this budget reduces the LCBO markup rate. For example, the basic markup rate applied by the LCBO to cider would be reduced from 60.6% to 32.0%. So let's break down this government priorities. Alcohol-related terms are mentioned 132 times in the budget, whereas low...
Order, please. Order.
Unemployment was only mentioned 4 times, and affordability was mentioned 7 times. To the member across, I'm telling you what's in your government's budget. People across Ontario and Scarborough-Guildwood need good-paying jobs. Under this government, Ontario has the second worst unemployment rates across the country, standing at 7.8%, which is a 0.3 increase from March. Madam Speaker, if this rate continues, Ontario is projected to face an unemployment rate exceeding 10% by the end of the year. Madam Speaker, families are chosen between paying for medication or buying groceries. I heard from a mother who's skipping lunch every day just so she can make sure her kids have something to eat for dinner. A senior told me she's even splitting her pills in half so they can last longer because she cannot afford her prescriptions month after month. I also met a father who worked 3 jobs just so he can make sure that he can provide breakfast for his kids before they go to school. What people truly need are good-paying and stable jobs. I want to address the education deficits in my riding of Scarborough-Guildwood. The government claims to invest in students, but the budget does not reflect this. It fails to recognize the underfunding of schools across Ontario. The budget allocates $2 billion towards school repairs, yet we currently face staggering backlog of $6.5 billion by 2033. It is projected to hit $22.1 billion. 1,813 schools are below a state of good repair. Teachers in my riding of Scarborough-Guildwood have been forced to purchase pencils and notebooks out of their own pockets to assist their students, while this budget is spending on the wrong priorities. Madam Speaker, what message are we sending to our children, who are the future leaders of tomorrow? We're telling them that we are putting alcohol above their education and well-being. Young people are not only our future, they are our present. They seek education, safety, and growth, and this budget offers them none of that. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, this budget presented before us is a missed opportunity for real change and support for the people of Ontario. Instead of focusing on the immediate needs of families struggling to make ends meet, this budget neglects the essential services that our communities rely on. We cannot stand by while middle and low-income households face unprecedented challenges without any meaningful assistance from this government. Madam Speaker, let this be on record. This budget fails to address the critical need for better transportation infrastructure and increased job opportunities for our young people. Investing in fast, safe, and reliable public transit and creating pathways to meaningful employment are essential for fostering economic growth and ensuring that our young people have the tools they need to succeed. Madam Speaker, it is our duty to advocate for a budget that reflects the values and the needs of all Ontarians. We need a budget that invests in education, food security, and affordability housing, ensuring that every Ontarian has the opportunity to strive. I will continue to be the voice for the people of Scarborough-Guildwood and the people of Scarborough.